Welcome to my channel, Constructive Interference. I am the Mad Medicine Woman with good reason. Please check out my story, The Rapture Begins in Detroit, and the comeback story, Sovereignty is a... Anyway, talking more as a practicing astrologers, what we're observing, the subjective and objective result, as astrology is proof there is no coincidence, the involution and evolution. Saturn entering Pisces. Pisces represents our emotions, that's boundless water, our arts, our creativity, our vices. Saturn entering Pisces is going to put a lot of pressure on our spiritual disciplines, and it's going to have a lot of consequences if that spiritual discipline, whether it's our mission to create something, be an artist, be a dancer, be a emotional healer. Virgo in the opposition of Pisces always tends to either work complementary or in opposition of each other. And to complement Pisces would be to take care of the gut, to take care of the daily routines, to get down to the details of those routines, where Pisces is out here in big picture and maybe can sometimes get lost not focusing on that big picture that needs to be reminded of. The daily disciplines that we might neglect and say, oh, well, I can have that cake, I can have that drink, I can do a little more today if I'm better later, and put off and escape our responsibilities, something that's a theme of our Pisces house. Saturn entering this house is saying to put a restraint on some of these escapism vices and put some discipline on our creativity, our art, maybe finding specific real time for that to physically make those things a reality. Pluto entering Aquarius, Pluto representing also destruction, but liberation, freedom. I feel like we're either going to have freedom or major consequences to our lack of discipline, our spiritual discipline, our health disciplines, as health and spirituality lines up together. Where there's health, there's truth. Things are meant to be healthy, meant to be peaceful, meant to be well. As my Cherokee elder described it, if the mountains weren't healthy and the trees weren't healthy and the water wasn't healthy, then we wouldn't be healthy, and everything runs downstream. And so we live in a world with other people, and how we speak stewards everything around us, so that we have to take this care with how we steward, how we speak, how we move about the world. That responsibility to us and other people around us when we have our health, and why that health is important. Pluto in Aquarius, again, is about a whole. Aquarius keeps the whole in mind, but it's very impersonal. It's not crying and weeping so much like Pisces can be so emotionally attached, where Saturn is very cold there. I have a Saturn in Capricorn, makes me very cold. I think it's 0 degrees of Aquarius. I have a moon in Capricorn. I'm very cold like Saturn when it comes to emotions. With a very restraint on emotions. Probably my saving grace. Check out my story. So Pluto, this destruction in Aquarius, some astrologers say may warn against a lot of people passing away. And I think that has to do with Saturn entering Pisces, those vices coming to the surface, whether it's gambling, drinking, drugs. There's going to be major physical consequences to those actions and to the neglect of our health, and to realign with a better emotional state, our natural state of health, where we find truth, where we find peace of mind, emotions, and all that lines up and runs downstream. So I'm not one to deep dive in emotions. We can dig deep on dry land, I'm on dry land. I'm not swimming in the ocean no more. I ain't swimming out lost at sea, maritime admiralty law. I'm digging deep. So we're digging deep. I think Saturn in Pisces is also putting a big emphasis on our gut. This opposition of Saturn to Virgo, Virgo representing the solar plexus in our gut. So this gluten-free that's becoming more popular, that pressure that's been put on our gut and the solar plexus, I think has been brought on by Saturn. And as we're more experiencing, many of us, even our Saturn returns, I think is bringing this on too for some of us that are experiencing this Saturn return in Aquarius. And now entering Pisces, we're going to see more of that gluten-free and that opposition of Virgo. Just putting that pressure on that house, on our biology, where that house represents. Aquarius represents actually our hands and what we do, how we put things into practice. Actually, Pisces rules the hands. Saturn entering Pisces. Aquarius rules the wrist. That's true. This mobility action here. And our ankles, rule our ankles, the wrists and the ankles, this mobility. It also rules our innovation as far as the internet, the mind. I feel like this Pluto in Aquarius, we should think about electric cars and electric vehicles, no-go. Frost versus General Motors, that's me. I'm Frost versus General Motors for my Buick exploding and losing my children and being set fire. Leo rising, Leo Venus, Leo Chiron. Astrology is real. Signs are real. Pluto and Aquarius, electric cars. They're going to come up. They're going to destroy. They're not going to be a good thing. We're going to have to shut that down as far as what is good, the freedom that comes with tearing that down and finding our other solutions and real solutions to being able to be mobile and have our generators and have that electricity. That is going to be a Aquarius theme, I think for sure. And Uranus and Taurus is going to come up with different ingenuitive ways to fix that problem. And Uranus and Taurus, Taurus being the sign of new servers, they say esoterically in this new age, that the emphasis of Uranus and Taurus is creating innovative ways to solve our problem. It's bringing the teachers to the forefront, the teachers of esotericism, the teachers of dance, the teachers of food, these new ways of serving humanity that's coming from Taurus. Taurus rules our cerebellum in the back of the head, which is also our rules our throat and the throat chakra, being able to speak, being able to teach what we digest through our throat and food. So lots of big changes, leadership coming to the forefront. Jupiter in Aries is going to move quite quickly through Aries and then enter Taurus as well. That's going to expand Uranus and Taurus, hopefully those innovative ideas. So that's on my mind at the moment. Mars is just moving out of its retrograde shadow. So things are speeding up. Everything that we've been thinking about, reflecting on since October 30th, when Mars went retrograde in Gemini, and Gemini rules the thinking space. And they're also Venerian. Venus is very comfortable in Gemini, which nobody speaks about, the Venerian connection to Gemini, which drives me crazy. That's why Gemini are so interpersonally concentrated the way they are, ruling the third house of siblings and cousins, and why that's such an emphasis on Geminis. When you meet a Gemini sun, where their families come from. They might come from half families and stepsisters and have multiple brothers and sisters, or foster care, or Geminis are a big emphasis on our siblings and other people and interpersonal relationships. So when they meet people and being able to connect and find the comfortability with people, that means so much to a Venerian Gemini. And they love it. They love people. They love to be able to communicate. It's what makes them great communicators, great listeners. Geminis ask the best questions. You know a Gemini because they're like, how many brothers and sisters do you have? Do you have any brothers and sisters? What was mom and dad like? They want to know what it was like growing up there. They want to know. They're very inquisitive, very interpersonal. I love Geminis. They're your best friend. And Mars moving through Gemini, this airspace, the thinking, that's especially thinking about relationships, I think, or how to communicate and do the adult negotiation and communicate with other people and be normal or feel normal, feel comfortable, be yourself without thinking too much, Gemini. So now we've had Mars in Gemini, wherever Gemini has an emphasis in your life, where that communication, where those siblings, where those allies are, where those rivalries are, can be sometimes. Where can we finally take action? Where have we been sitting with ourselves like all stirred up, like we can do this, 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 and this, and this, and this. If we can just wait on the right time, just the proper time, the opportune moment, like Johnny Depp says, the opportune moment is really now. And it's saying we're ready now. And Saturn in Pisces is going to say, now's the time to take care of it, or you're going to reap the consequences. It might be financial consequences, that if you don't act on these things, maybe something has a pitfall, maybe something doesn't go well at work. Could be. Let's pray not. That's why we look for signs. So when crazy stuff happens, we say, oh, that makes sense now. That makes sense that this blew up in my face and this justice system isn't real and da, 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 da. So check out my story. Know your signs. Relationship issues. Mars is a passionate, also is a representation or a symbol or an archetype of children as well, and that kind of passion and moving things forward. Which I really wonder, we've brought the issue of children up to the forefront with Gemini and what's best for our children. And I hope, I really hope that we're able to dig up the ugliness and take it head on. Pluto entering Aquarius, and we're gonna have to dig up the secrets and liberate ourselves. And there might be, I feel like our children are here at the forefront too, as far as what is right for our children, what's being put into our children's faces, and how we need to allow them to grow in a healthy manner and prosper abundantly into their best selves. So I do think the theme of children is going to continue. Now, so much going on. Jupiter in Aries, there's a lot of individualistic-ism right now, that we're very focused on ourselves, our goals, our creative endeavors, that very directional like energy. Hopefully in Taurus, I think we'll be able to enjoy a little bit more pleasure when Jupiter enters Taurus, especially with Uranus there. Maybe pleasant food experiences, or being able to go out. I always think Taurus and food, because they always feed me well. Every time I'm in a kitchen, I work in a kitchen, I always have many Tauruses there that feed me. And Taurus is Venerian ruled. Again, like Gemini, they're very good with people, food, gardens, but also animals. They make great animal trainers as well. I wonder what kind of animal themes would come to the forefront. Jupiter expanding this changes in Uranus and Taurus, and our ways of making money. Taurus ruling the second house. Why our innovative ways of making money, again, the very physical world that requires physical changes and physical action to reap back physical rewards of money. How physical it is, how real it is, but this physical idea that we could exchange this object for something else, Taurus in the second house is all about, I have great esoteric notes on the esoteric meanings of the houses. My stack of notes here that I've kept forever. These are my most sacred notes that I keep in this. So they've been collected over the years. And part of my favorite originals is the esoteric meaning of the houses and of the zodiac signs. And like everything else, repetition is the best way to remember all of these. The second house, spiritual values, the use of life energies. So what we're putting out there and how we're receiving that value back. Our self-value, Venerian, again, how we appreciate ourselves, how we appreciate others, how we show that appreciation for ourselves. Interesting, I love this definition of the 12th house when it comes to Pisces and why we're bringing up these ideas of indulging in vices and gambling, drinking. I immediately think of drinking, how many poor Pisces friends I've had who have felt alcoholism in some late years. The 12th house represents, which is symbolic of Pisces, the unredeemed past karma, the bondage to personality, again, our vices. It could even be sexual vices, things that we're seeking pleasure from other things outside of ourselves. The selfless service to humanity. So I think of the unconditional love of Neptune, that is Pisces. And if you meet a Pisces, they are super unconditional. They don't want to fight. They don't want to argue. Even if you get upset with them, they'll just run away. They really don't want to argue. They just want to love. They don't want to do with anything that's so negative. So that escapism is part of Pisces as well. Not being able to confront what you need to confront, which Saturn is going to bring into our face and make us confront something, whatever it is, our vices, our relationships, wherever Pisces is for you, that might be bringing up some obstacles and making you overcome some challenges. As you get older, too, you'll realize, especially after your Saturn return, Saturn is an empowering planet, that your discipline is your power, your fear is your power. When you overcome that fear, that's where you're unlocking yourself. That's where you're unlocking kind of the boundlessness of yourself, but the discipline is freedom. You can't have freedom without discipline. So when you learn to understand your Saturn, where your discipline does lie, my Saturn in Aquarius at the cusp of my 6th and 7th house, 6th house being sometimes your enemies, which guess who's fighting admiralty maritime law, the 7th house ruled by Libra and scales of justice, General Motors sitting on the water in Detroit, even flow car seats. Check out my story. Know your signs, know your signs. Once again, Saturn does represent those governing entities, those corporations that have laws and restrictions and rules. They rule the bones, calcium. Anytime you break a bone, there's major consequences, pain. So these transits are the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. That's what we're being faced here, and it's going to be on a global scale, if we can use that word. It's going to be on an earthly scale. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And what we do now is going to either help, we got to help our vibration, we got to raise the vibration of the planet so we can get through these times, because there might be major, major consequences to not growing up right now. So peace and love to everyone. I so appreciate you all. I gotta get ready for it. Here we go. Mad Woman out. Know your signs.